Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm gonna do a little bit of an update on BTC and an altcoin also that I'm looking at. So for Bitcoin, I mean, we've been trending down since 69K top, making lower lows and lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. We had a really big significant drop here that came into this daily order block, and now we're still making lower lows and lower highs. I mean, it's hard to say where it's going to go from here, but I would say the best play to take would be, instead of trying to guess where it's going to go, just have your important high probability trade levels to the upside and to the downside. So you set alerts there, and if it comes there and we have the right confirmations on market cipher, take the trade. Because trying to guess where it's going to go from here, I mean, the market makers could chop this up in so many different ways that honestly, it's probably, you'll probably lose money that way. So let's look at some levels. So first of all, I want to pull up the yearly volume, which is basically the taking the fixed range from January 1st all the way up until now. So we lost the point of control. We're losing currently a high volume node, right? Which is not too bullish, right? We play around here, we lost it, now we're rejecting off of it. In my opinion, like I had said in the earlier video, when we lose the value area high and the point of control, usually what we do is we rotate down to the value area low. And this would be actually a really good trade because there's lots of confluence here. We have the value area low for the year. We also have the value area high for this June range right here, right? So two levels right there. We have all of this liquidity here that is resting that should be taken. And if this gets taken, I mean, usually the markets go towards areas of liquidity, and this looks really, really, really good because we had a quadruple bottom here. So if we take that liquidity, bounce off the value area low, and then come up, we're also coming into a daily order block here as well. But before this happens, this I would say is like not, well, it's not the worst case scenario, there could be worse than this, but before this, what could happen is that we get a move into, if we just take the fib retracement from here to here, we'll go down on a lower time frame. All right, so we have the golden pocket fib level coming in just under this wick, right? So let's say if we could come down into here, this little area right here, take the liquidity, and then make a move up. If we do this, since we're rejecting off the high volume node here, I would expect to move down, and we have to, the thing is that there isn't too much support here really other than the golden pocket. So it's kind of important to check the confirmation. You don't just take the trade blindly. I would like to see maybe a bullish divergence on the 1 hour at least and lower. So you want to see something like this, like we're rejecting here, come into here and bounce. And while this is happening, we have the market cipher B momentum wave it comes up, it'll come down and print a higher low and come up. So we'll have that bullish divergence. If we get this, then I would take the trade, but you know, take profits along the way, because that lower level at the value area lower around 39K is still very possible. I mean, this just could be like a short-term bounce up to the highs and then back down. So those are the two levels to the downside. All right, so we have around the 45K area with the golden pocket, and we have the value area low. Now to the upside, there's a couple of things I'd want to look at. So kind of the same story with the long. If you look at the short, okay, and we take the fib retracement from this high to this low, right? So the impulse high to the impulse low. actually from here, okay, yeah, let's say you do it from here. So you have this resting liquidity, right here. Let me take off that. And resting liquidity right here. So there's kind of reason to go up to this at least, okay? So maybe we can see like a move up to here and then a move down, or a move down and move up. But like I said, it doesn't matter what comes first. What matters is that when you come to that level, you look for the confirmation and you take the trade. So at this point, if we come up to here, it would make sense. We take out this liquidity here, and we'd move up into the level, into resistance, right? This was also prior support, so it's a decently strong resistance, and then we'd see a move back down. Now, if this doesn't hold and we go through it, a very, 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 very strong resistance level would be right around the 57, 58K mark. We have the yearly point of control, okay? The yearly point of control. We also have, let me see, if we take the fib from the impulse that came down here, we have the golden pocket level fib right here on top of the point of control. We also have a 4-hour order block here, and we also have some resting liquidity here. So I would probably put a little bit of a longer stop loss, okay? Like if it could kind of bounce around here, come back up, take the liquidity, and then finally reverse. So just be careful with that. In terms of confirmation on this move, I'd probably want to see at least a bearish divergence on, for sure, on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour. It's possible that we don't get it, but at least like a top, some sort of a top, right? So like this is a top, like where the momentum wave comes above this white line. You see this? It's usually a topping pattern, like they call the 69K top. Here I'd like to see something like, at least to have some sort of a topping pattern, if not even better, a bearish divergence. For the daily, something similar as well. We'd want to see something to come up and give some sort of a top like that. If we're getting that and the price is here and we're seeing some rejections and some bearish divergences on lower time frames, like the 20 minute, the 30 minute, the 15 minute, the 5 minute, then that would definitely be a good trade to take. Another thing to keep in mind, okay, this doesn't necessarily have to play out, but it's good to just know about it. If you go on, let's say, a 2-hour time frame, there's a pattern that I noticed that could play out. It's actually a very, very bullish pattern, and you don't see it too often, but we saw it here. So if we connect this high to this high and move it downwards, yeah, so we see this is called a bump and run. So basically the price falls into resistance, comes down. It's usually a trend line, down sloping trend line, falls down hard, moves sideways, hits it, falls down, and it keeps doing this until it breaks, right? Until it breaks, until price finally makes its way and breaks. So what could happen is that we could have that move down to the golden pocket at 45K, like I said, and then we could see some sort of sideways action and then hit this, break, and then up. Or if this doesn't hold and then we go lower to that 39K area, we might see the same thing. We'll see a drop, sideways action, just like we did here, something like this, and then finally come up, break it, and then up. And usually bump and run patterns, when it does break the trend line, okay, it's a very, very, very aggressive move up, because you have all of, usually when you create a trend line, okay, there's all of this liquidity that's going to be made. So we have this liquidity here, these highs, 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 and they're going to want to go and chase all of this. So it's very, very aggressive to move up. Usually when you see the break at these areas, the volume is very high. Like we've been pretty low all the way up until here. Usually what I would want to do to take the long for this type of thing is see the volume really high, like a lot higher, much higher than the norm, I would say. Okay, so this could be a possibility. And if we do get this before we get any of those short setups that I had mentioned, be careful taking those shorts, because these type of plays, like the bump and run, there's a lot of volume behind it, and sometimes those shorts, they might be good for little scalps, little moves, but they usually get broken. So be careful if this does actually happen. Yeah, so that's Bitcoin for now. I mean, best thing to do is going to be just wait and see what happens, and just mark the levels and wait, put some alerts, and then if the trade gets there and the confirmations are right, take the trade. Another thing I was looking at was SOL. So I had posted a previous setup saying to long SOL around this area, the 170, 165 area, because at the time we were making, you know, daily bullish divergence, which is crazy, and we were coming onto support. But what happened obviously is that Bitcoin dumped, so did everything else. Now we actually found an even better setup. If we look and we take the pitchfork from this high, this low to this high, we have the midline of the pitchfork coming in here. We have the golden pocket fib retracement. If you take it from this low, this impulse low, to the all-time high, all right? And if you take the overall low to the all-time high, we also get the 0.5 or the 50% retracement coming in right there at the same time. So we have three levels of confluence right there. We also have a daily order block. And if we take the fixed range profile or the volume profile of this cluster right here, we're also getting the value area low coming in at around 132. So anywhere between around 133 to 141, I would say, is a very, very good long. Like I said earlier, what I'd want to see is probably if you can get a 4-hour bullish divergence while we're coming in here, that'd be good. But ideally, maybe we'd want to see, yeah, so see how the daily is bottoming out. So maybe we could see this daily continue to bottom as we come down in here. The 4-hour, at least, we'd want to see it bottoming out, if not diverging, even better. And the 1 hour and down, I'd like to see a divergence coming into there. And another thing is that before we do get here, there is a potential for a scalp short into that level. So if we go on the 4-hour time frame, we see that we have a 4-hour order block, okay, and we have all this inefficiency that we need to fill, right? So it's actually doing it right now. So we're filling about half of that inefficient candle. We're going to come up to the order block, which also has a golden pocket fib retracement from here to here. All right, so I would be expecting us to come up to here. We'll probably bounce around a little and then come down here. Now, as we come up, as SOL comes up to this price, check on BTC, check for any resistances, okay? Because if we're at maybe a support, this wouldn't be the best thing to short, because everything would probably go up if Bitcoin does go up. So check Bitcoin as we're coming into this level. Also check your confirmations on SOL at this level. So I'd probably want to come down to maybe the 1 hour. We would see a 1 hour topping out, you know, something along the lines of this, but over here. And maybe on the 30 minutes, actually, let me see. Yeah, I'd want to see maybe from the 20-minute and down some sort of a bearish divergence. So if we can get something like, if we get an impulse up quick like this, and then this kind of just doesn't make this high, it's a lower high, right? So bear div right there on the 15-minute and down with the 1 hour topping out. That would be perfect with a red dot as the confirmation. And that would be a great short to take us down into our long zone. But I would probably take my first profit here off of this this wick. All right, so TP1 here, and TP2 would be anywhere in here, and then be ready for that long. All right, guys, so that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, just message me in the Discord or just post something in the Discord. Thanks.